Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We're Screwed. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Me and old boy were just having a conversation, literally right before this, and we decided to stop talking and start recording so you guys can be a part of the conversation because I think it would make a pretty good show. He was talking about moving to Scotland, and I'll let him give the reasons if he chooses to. That's his business. But he was talking about possibly moving to Scotland. And he said the only thing that would suck is you can only have a 12 gauge there. You can't have other firearms. You can't have your pistols. You can't have any of that stuff. And he was getting into the fact that he's good with a shotgun, and then we started talking about. I'll let him describe it here in a second. But basically, he was talking about his Glock that they made a thing where you can put that into a frame to make it like an AR-15. And then he was getting into like the dragon's breath ammo, and it's pretty hard to justify that kind of stuff and all that. Okay, so I'll let old boy kind of come back on and kind of lay out what he was talking about for you, his point of view, and then after he's done, I'll come on and give my side of it. Sound good? All right, go ahead, brother.
No, what I was telling him is that it's not for sure. It was just something we've talked about in the near future one day, either that or Ireland. We've talked about, but we don't know. We could even just stay here in California. But it was just one of but some of the laws in Europe is there's some places they only let you have shotguns, either like double or single, or if you do, it's a semi-automatic. It holds three or four, but you can't have Glock. But what it got into is Glock makes this thing where, and they make a couple of them. You can put the Glock in. It's not legal here, but it turns into like a AR-15 pistol. And what I was telling him is it? I don't care. We have them. It's just there's no real justification that you could say what are you going to use it for. I mean, you got your Glock, and you could just go buy an AR-15 and build a gun. That's what I'm saying. But put a Glock in and make it an AR-15 or whatever. It makes it a rifle. Or that's what that pistol is. It doesn't mean that I want it banned. It just makes no sense. And I was saying, dragon breath shotgun shells are only legal in certain states because it shoots out flames and balls of flames. Now, there is an argument on that because that's not just ammunition; it blows up. So that becomes more of an issue. Is it really ammo? Or is it really something else? Now, I like it. It's cool because it puts everything on fire. But I'm not going to sit here and defend it if somebody breaks my house, shoot them, because it's not a smart idea because you're going to start your whole fucking house on fire. And it's not something you really need. It's just, I didn't say that you couldn't. I'm just saying that I could understand the argument on that because unless you're coming with a tank or a mob of people, there's real no need for that. I mean, it's badass. I like it, and I want him. But in California, I'm screwed because I live here. I don't know if James can have them. I know they're in Georgia. They're allowed to have them, and I know in Missouri and some other states. But I know some places have banned them. So but I kind of understand that. But that's what I was talking about. Some of the stuff they've added on now, like where you can put the switch to automatic. I get that because I'm just going to tell you this: automatic sucks anyway because you lose control. You don't have the control you have with semi-automatic. That's what most people realize. Will tell you now. Now they're getting almost to the point with the semi-automatic 50 caliber sniper rifles, but most of them are still bolt because you don't get that with the semi-automatic. You're still going to have that's there's it's just not better. It's just better to do bolt. And what I'm saying is now they're making all these attachments for shit, and that's why they're going to go after us because put your like I have a regular Glock, and I saw that thing is you put your Glock in it, and it's kind of like the trigger now, and you could put the 357 barrel or a 40 Glock. That's what I have, a Glock 22. And you put it in like it's like a shock. It looks like not a shotgun. It looks like a kind of like a short barrel AR, and you put it in there, and it clicks in there, and then you put it in there, and you can put the extra clip in there, and then you put the other clip in there, and you can hold it. So it's like an AR pistol. It's cool. I want one, but it's not legal here. but you can do all kinds of shit to it, and it's cool. Like, I get it, it's cool, but I can see the argument on it. Like, it's not like an AR-15 because, oh, they said it was bad. I get that. That AR-15, you don't even need to do all that shit. That's why it's kind of ridiculous, and I get it. It's to make money, and it's something you really don't need, but it's cool. But I really would rather go get a gun that's already made, like a rifle AR, than putting my Glock in there. It's pointless. But I could see the ammo thing with people getting fired, or there's another one that like shot like acid balls or something. And I mean, I kind of see where it's going to be like, why do you need that? I mean, but I see that there's an actual argument why you need that to having a regular. Well, why can't you have a regular pellets? And I get it. Just like it with certain, but I don't agree we should ban it. It's just that there's some stuff I can see that's kind of gotten ridiculous, and that's just to make money. You guys got to realize that's knickknacking. They're trying to make you buy something, and of course, who the fuck wouldn't want to put 12 gauge shotguns and blow things up and burn shit? That would be great. That's like zombie shit. But in reality, we don't all live in the city. If you live in a city, there's no need for you to be shooting those off unless you know somebody's coming at your house. The problem is they're cool, but I could see the arguments on certain things. I could see, like if somebody had the gauntlet gun from Predator, and they were carrying that around, and I wouldn't because it's so expensive, and you got to keep it cold the whole time anyway. But if it was kind of like that, I can understand some people shouldn't be carrying those around because those are heavy artillery. But I can see the argument if you're riding around in a jet or a tank or a bomb or a missile. That's a whole different story. But yeah, and you can actually buy tanks in Texas. Remember, they can't be armed. But they didn't say what you could do after you get them. But trust me, if you have a tank, they come watch you like every year or something. They make sure you're not doing that. They check on you, dude. That's like a law. They come like every 2 years and they'll check it out to see if you're modification it to have ammo. Some people have done that. But if you have that kind of money with a tank, man, if I was going to have a tank, I'm going to alter that motherfucker to shoot something. I don't care if they didn't say it just couldn't shoot missiles and ammo, but you could put paintballs in it or something. I would make it where I could shoot it. So that would be kind of cool. I would put paintball gun or something like a paintball bomb. It blows people, shoot it and shows up on everybody. That shit would be cool. But I could see that, but like, I just don't see the point of it. Like the one, did you see that? It has like, it's a 50 caliber. And it's like two guns put together, and it has like four triggers or something like that. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just a stupid gun. I don't know why they made it, but they did. It just, there's some stuff I don't understand, but I get it because they're making money. But there's just really absolutely no need for certain stuff that makes no sense, and it's not going to make you shoot any better. It just makes you look cooler, I guess. I don't know. I'm just, doesn't bother me. My gun is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to protect for my life. I'm not worried about what it looks like, and I'm not worried about the color of it. If it protects me, it doesn't matter if it's pink. That's all that matters. I'm not that I'm gonna choose a pink gun, but people don't realize pink or not, it's still gonna kill you. So I would rather have the gun. It's gonna help me and not worry about shooting. And I'm not advocating to go out and get the firearm. I mean, if you are, make sure you're doing it in a safe area. You're not going to kill anybody. If you have a big yard or something, you can do whatever you want then. I don't care. But make sure you're safe with it and don't shoot your friend. That's what I'm saying. Don't let your friend stand 200 feet just to see how far it could shoot. That's the stupidity that people do, and that's what I'm saying. Don't do that. That's the only problem I have, because somebody's going to try that stupid shit or already has, and that's because people just do absolutely dumb shit, and that's why I try to tell people. And trust me, somebody might even listen to this. Please don't do what I just said, because I know that you might think it's cool or something. It's not going to be cool. Those things shoot about 100 feet, and they shoot flames, and they will catch you on fire even if you don't get hit directly. And it's not going to be a good day to you. They showed what those things do, and they shoot this guy's dummy. He shot like 2 shots, and it just went up in flames. You're not going to have any hair left if you survive. So that being said, yeah, I'll throw it over to James, but this was a kind of a fun one.
People who watch the show often know that I am a First Amendment absolutist. I believe that you should be allowed to say anything you want, whether it's popular or not popular, whether it's hate speech or not hate speech, whatever the hell it is. I think you ought to be able to say whatever the hell you feel like saying, and people should have the right to say whatever they want back, and you should be able to have a dialogue and a debate and all of that. In theory, I'm the same way with the Second Amendment. I believe that you should be allowed to own any weapon you want to own, pretty much. Because if you look in the Constitution, when they put that in the Bill of Rights, it wasn't for hunting. It wasn't. They didn't say you're allowed to own a firearm in order to hunt and feed your family. The whole purpose of that was to be able to form militias to go against a tyrannical government. That was the point of it. So if you look at the spirit of that, we're supposed to be allowed to have weaponry equal to the level of the government. Because if we don't, how the hell are we supposed to overthrow a tyrannical government, right? Now, when they made that, they didn't realize they were going to be nuclear bombs and all kinds of crazy shit, F-16 fighters, all that kind of. They didn't know about all that, right? Now, I don't think that the average Joe on the street should be allowed to have a combat jet or a nuclear bomb or something like that, okay? But I believe within reason, I mean, whatever kind of weaponry you want to have, you should be allowed to have. Because this whole idea of you can't have that because it's a weapon of war, that goes completely against our Bill of Rights. It goes completely against the Constitution. Because the whole point of being able to bear arms was the fact that we could go against the government if we had to. That was the whole purpose of it. So to say that, well, you can't have that because only soldiers should be able to have that. Well, if you only let the soldiers have it, if we have to go against the soldiers, how are we ever going to compete? How are you going to go up against the U.S. military holding a 12 gauge shotgun? You're not. You should be allowed to have weaponry that can compete. But once again, that being said, you're not going to have jets and tanks and shit like that. Um, the reason you can't have that kind of stuff is simply because people are too stupid anymore to do that. That's the sad truth of it. And that's where you run into this problem with the Second Amendment is in theory, yes, everybody should be allowed to own whatever kind of weaponry they want to own. But in practice, that's awful damn dangerous because you got a lot of stupid people that do a lot of stupid things. And I know that I don't want some people out here to have tanks and planes and shit like that because they'll destroy a lot of people. They're just nuts, you know? I think if you're going to limit somebody's right to own a firearm, though, I think that has to be based on a mental health evaluation of some kind. Like I'm all for not allowing crazy people to have weapons. That makes sense to me. You know, and I don't think that that would necessarily violate the spirit of the Constitution because I'm pretty sure the founders wouldn't want some crazy idiot out there wielding weapons. Now, that being said, in the early days, there were people that were kind of nuts that had weapons. But the nice thing about the early days of the country, leading all the way up into the Wild Western times, is that everybody had weapons. So if you had some crazy idiot roll into town, wanting to, be crazy and do a lot of bad things, everybody else was armed too. So you just took that dude out. You know, and he didn't get that far. The problem comes when you have all of these gun-free zones, these places you're not allowed to have your weapon. So then if a crazy person comes in there, because a crazy person doesn't give a shit whether it's a gun-free zone or not, a criminal doesn't care if they're allowed to have a gun in that building or not. They're going to go in there anyway. If they're intent on going in there and shooting the place up, they're not going to give a shit whether it's a gun-free zone. They're not going to care if it's against the law because they're fixing to break a bunch of laws. They don't care. All you do by making gun-free zones and passing all these stupid gun regulations that make people not be able to own everything, the only thing you're doing is making people, normal everyday citizens who are law-abiding, less safe because you're giving the criminals and the crazy people the advantage. Because as I said, they're going to ignore that sign. They're going to go into that hospital or school or government building or whatever the hell it is. They're going to go in there with their weapon and they're going to do whatever the hell they want to do. And the sad thing is, if you don't have people in there with weapons, who's going to stop them? I'll tell you a story. I went to the Social Security office with my dad because he's getting ready to collect his Social Security. And he had to go in and present ID to prove that it's him because some scummy illegal came in and was using his Social Security number, and they had to prove that he's who he is in order for him to get his Social Security. So we go to the Social Security office, and Dad is in a wheelchair. He can walk, but not very well anymore. It's not really safe for him to be walking around. So he spends most of his time in a wheelchair when he's going out someplace. So I'm trying to get him through the doors. Well, the doors are too skinny for the wheelchair to fit through, but it's double doors. They swing open, right? So I'm going to open both of them. Well, this door on this side has them stupid things that go into the ground and into the top that you have to pull down the levers in order for the door to open. So I'm doing that to open up both doors. Well, this guard comes out and he starts bitching me out for opening the door. And he's like, "Hey, boy, this is government property. You can't just be doing anything you want." And I say, "Excuse me?" He said, "This is government property. You got to treat it with more respect than that. If you wanted that door open, you have to ask me, and I'll open it." I said, "Really?" I said, "You know who you're talking to?" I said, "You're talking to veterans here, man. You're talking to people who fought for this country, bled for this country. You're some fucking rent-a-cop. Don't tell me what to do." I opened the fucking door anyway. Fuck him. And I wheeled Dad in there and we took care of our business and then we left. But he did not have a weapon. He had a flashlight. That's all he had. Maybe some pepper spray in there somewhere in that little Batman utility belt he was wearing, but he definitely wasn't armed. Now, they had a sign that told you couldn't bring weapons in. But what would his old ass do if I did bring a weapon in? If I showed up there intent on doing harm and I had a firearm, what's he going to do about it? He wasn't even packing. He talking all this mess about it being a government building and it has to be respected and defended and all this shit. How are you going to defend it with a flashlight, son? I mean, in all reality, even if you got your pepper spray, and even if I don't have a firearm, I'm 6'5", about 300 pounds. I'm a bad, bad man. I will slap the taste out of your mouth. I could have picked that dude up and thrown him out in the yard. Not a damn thing he could have done to stop me. Now, if somebody wants to go in that place and do harm, nobody in that place has a weapon anymore. They had to leave them all in their vehicles when they came in. They don't have any armed security in there that's going to protect people. So what are you going to do? That's the problem with all of the gun regulations that we have in this country, mostly in blue states. I live in Virginia. Uh, where I live, it's still fairly good. I mean, there's places you can't carry, like you can't go into the hospital carrying. You can't, which I don't understand. That's stupid. You can't go into Costco carrying. They're a private company, so they can make their rules how they want them, I reckon. And you got to pay to go there. So, I mean, they're free to do that, I guess. But once again, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But Costco is like a lefty type company anyway, I believe. Because during the pandemic, they wouldn't even let you in if you didn't have a mask on. I actually canceled my Costco membership at that time period because they wouldn't let me go in and shop. They told me I had to put a mask on. I told them I'm not wearing that stupid mask. It doesn't work. It doesn't do a damn thing to help you. And we got into an argument, and I said, "Well, you know what? You can take this membership and shove it up your ass because I'm canceling it right now. I'm not going to come back." But they have a sign that says you're not allowed to carry in there too. So what happens if somebody ignores the sign and comes in there with a weapon anyway and decides they want to have a little fun in there and shoot up the place, old like Billy the Kid style or something? There's like zero security in Costco. There's nobody in there who's going to stop them. What's going to happen is everybody's going to scatter like little girls and hide. And they're just going to walk around and do whatever they want till they run out of ammo. Now, if you didn't have that stupid policy and we're allowed to carry our weapons, then somebody pops off and they act stupid, they get dealt with pretty quickly. The scene is secure. Everybody goes home happy. Well, almost everybody. The asshole that came in there trying to hurt everybody didn't go home happy. Only place he's going is to hell. But the people are safe. See, back in the old days when you had some crazy idiot that wanted to do that, everybody had weaponry. So everybody took them out. So those people didn't last very long. But nowadays, so many people don't carry that it's crazy. It's to the point, literally, I walk around, I'm always strapped. Like, I'm always strapped. And when I walk around and people see my pistol on my side, sometimes I get weird looks. Now, if I'm in my area, I don't, because I'm a redneck and I live in the mountains around a bunch of other rednecks, and a lot of us carry. So it's not that big a deal for us. But if I have to go into the city for something, them city folk, they look at you like you're some kind of crazy person because you're carrying. But it's like, you ought to not be looking at me like I'm dumb. You ought to be thanking me, because if something pops off, I'm going to save your life. You're not going to be able to save my life because you ain't got nothing. What are you going to do? Throw spare change at them? There's nothing you're going to be able to do to help. And I think the number one responsibility of a man is to be a protector. Your role as a man is you're supposed to protect the innocent. You're supposed to protect women and children who are weaker, who can't protect themselves. That's your job as a man. So if you're not carrying, if you don't have the capability to put down a threat, how are you doing your job as a man? If something pops off in a place and you're in there and you don't have anything, what are you doing? Are you hiding behind a table or something? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't live with myself. If I was someplace and something popped off and I cowered behind a table or ran out the door and innocent people were getting hurt or worse, and I'm running for the hills, nah, I couldn't live with myself. I failed if that's the case. And my number one responsibility as a man, which is to be a protector. There's no honor in that, man. I don't understand people nowadays. Like, literally, I've seen videos of women getting beat up by a man in a public place, in like a restaurant or something. Dude's grabbing her by her hair and just fucking jacking the shit out of her. Bunch of other people standing around watching. And eventually somebody comes in to save her. But in every one of those videos, you know who it is? It's some other woman coming in to try to help. Why the hell is a woman trying to jump in to help another woman getting beat down by a man when there's multiple men standing around watching? What the fuck, man? I don't care if you're my boy. If you're my boy, we're best friends in the world, and we go out somewhere and you start beating on a woman, my boy or not, you're going to get your ass whooped that night. Because that ain't cool, man. You don't do that shit. And to see all these guys standing around watching this happen, what happened to men? I mean, if you ask me, the reason the country's in the shape that it's in is because there aren't very many men anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of biological men. There's a lot of males. But just because you're a male don't mean you're a man. I mean, if you're the kind that's cowering behind a table when something goes down, if you're standing there watching a woman get beat up and you ain't doing shit about it, I'm sorry to tell you, man, you ain't a man. I just don't understand that. So my point to old boy would be, he says he can see a case for it. You can't really explain why you need that or whatever. You shouldn't have to explain anything. Why should I have to explain to anybody why the hell I want to have something? My response should be kiss my ass. Second Amendment is my permit or my license to do this. Go fuck yourself. Who are you to tell me what to do? Now, in practice, it doesn't always work that way. And trust me, I'm not talking out my ass here. Old boy can back me up when he gets back on here. You're looking at a guy who built his own cannon. Okay, I built my own cannon, shot it off, blew a hole in my barn, threw myself up like 10 feet in the air. It was fucking glorious. Because let me tell you a little secret about cannons that they don't show you in the movies. They don't just go boom. Them some bitches fly backwards and up if you don't secure them down with sandbags or something. If you don't weight them, they pop up and back. So if you're standing by it, you just might get thrown too. And that's what happened. Now I was perfectly fine and I was laughing my ass off the whole way to the ground, man. I was laughing. It was wonderful. My wife got really mad because I'm not supposed to be doing stupid shit like that. And then the cops showed up and I had to hide my cannon and pretend like I don't know what the hell that loud ass noise was. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I blew a hole in my barn with a cannon that I built myself. So I practice what I preach, man. I think you should be allowed to have anything you want to have. But the flip side of that, as I said, is you got a lot of dumbass people who are going to do dumb things and hurt other people. Like, I don't care if you blow yourself up, right? If you do something like I did, building a cannon and having fun and shooting that son of a bitch off, and you don't realize what it's going to do and it goes off and you get hurt, that's on you, man. If I would have got hurt, that's on me because I didn't properly weigh down the cannon. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. Because every cannon I've ever seen fired stays primarily where it is. It goes backwards a little bit, but they never go flying up in the air. My cannon went flying up in the air. Now, remember, I didn't buy this cannon, I built it. So I probably didn't build it exactly correct. The next project I wanted to build was a trebuchet. For those who don't know what a trebuchet is, it's a medieval weapon used in sieges and shit. It has a giant counterweight that gets cranked up into the air and locks in place. You pull a lever, the counterweight swings down, and down here at the bottom, you got a bucket or a sling or a net or something that holds like rocks or whatever you want to throw, and it flings that up in the air and catapults it, flings it. I wanted to build one that had a counterweight large enough that I could throw like small compact cars across my field. I thought that would be a hell of a lot of fun. But after, the sheriff's department coming for the cannon incident and patrolling the area now and keeping a close watch because I'm pretty sure they know I had a cannon firing off. They just don't know where the hell it is. So they couldn't really do nothing to stop me until they found it. That's the only way I could be charged with it because I don't actually have it, right? So because they couldn't find it, they couldn't do shit about it. And I do not have it anymore. My wife made me take it apart. She wouldn't let me keep it. Now, I could have kept it anyway if I really wanted to, but it's just not worth it. It's not worth listening to the shit, man. When your wife tells you you got to do something, if you don't do it, chances are you're going to hear a bunch of mess later, and it's just not worth hearing the noise. You know what I mean? So my cannon has went the way of the buffalo. It is gone now, unfortunately. I did want to build a trebuchet, and I might still build one day, but I got to wait a while to do it because I don't know how legal that is, to be honest with you. I don't know if you're allowed to do that or if you're not allowed to do it. I don't see why it would be a big deal because it's not like you're going to take a trebuchet down the street and assault the 7-Eleven with it or something. Them things are not easy to move. You pretty much got to build it in place. Now, you can build it on wheels or something where you can push it, but you're talking by the time it's done, you're talking maybe 10, 15 tons is what this thing is going to weigh. Because just the counterweight itself is going to be a ton or two of weight that's up in the air that swings down. Because you got to have sufficient weight to fling whatever you're trying to fling. And if you're trying to fling a freaking car, you better have some substantial weight on the other end of that son of a bitch. So I still got to figure out the engineering of it to make sure it's safe before I build, because that's not something you want to half-ass build without knowing what you're doing, because you will die. That is not a fun little cannon that shoots you up in the air. This is something that the amount of force involved in a couple ton weight swinging down, that kinetic energy coming down, and then you got to make sure that your catapult system, your bucket system on the bottom is done correctly, so that it doesn't just shatter apart when it starts moving. Because then if you're throwing rocks or something crazy like that, man, you're going to get a shower, and not in a fun way, you know? So, yeah, I don't know if I'll actually ever build that because I don't quite understand the engineering enough yet to build it. Um, and I'm not a great builder in the first place. So that's a lot of potential danger. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get bored one day and build a trebuchet. But my idea is like, I don't know what the answer is on this one. In theory, I believe everybody should have the right to own anything they want. But I think practically we probably need to make exceptions for mental health and stuff like that, because otherwise you got a bunch of psychos running around. And if everybody was armed, like in the old days, I'd say let the psychos be armed too, because they'll get taken out, you know. But the way it is today, there's way too many sheep and not enough sheep dogs. It's not enough people out there to protect, and there's way too many people that are going to need protection. And if you unleash a psychopath with a weapon onto a group of people that don't have weapons, that's a recipe for disaster. Now, granted, the psychopath's going to probably get a weapon anyway and do it regardless of what the law is. But we probably shouldn't encourage that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe we'll do a show one day on asylums. I think we ought to bring asylums back too. That might be a fun show to do sometime. But anyway, that's my opinion on it. I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy and get his final sum up, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, this was a really cool show, and like I said, I was just showing opinions and points to. It's not that I'm trying to stop anybody. I could see the other side of it on some things, but who am I to say anything? Other than that, I'm glad you guys enjoyed us on Spotify, on YouTube also. You guys want to check us out on James Horse's YouTube page, just subscribe. You guys want merchandise, go to teespring.com, Staring into the Abyss, and you guys can get shirts, hats, whatever, from Staring, Worsford, whatever you guys want. Remember, my book, Evil Without a Face, is at Amazon. You can actually order it at any bookstore. You just got to tell them the name, Evil Without a Face by James Ash. You guys can get it on paperback and Kindle. Just to let you guys know. That being said, I hope everybody has a good night. Misfit Sugar Ladies, Monster Lovers, Demon Hunters, I love you and have a good night.
Yeah, thank y'all for watching. One thing I wanted to say that I forgot about, he was talking about that scene from Predator. We can't have that. That was either like a 50 cal, a belt-fed 50 cal, or like an M60, a belt-fed M60 that is like a chopper gun. I think that might have been what it is, was the M60 that bounced on the side of the helicopters, and he pulled that sucker off and was shooting with it. Or it was the 50 cal belt fed. I don't know which one. But either one of those guns, the majority of people are not going to be carrying around shooting. There's just no chance in hell. One, they are incredibly heavy. So it's, especially the M60, you're not going to be just carrying that around, firing it like he did with one hand, holding the belt. That's Hollywood bullshit. That's not real life, man. Them some bitches are heavy as shit. You're not doing that for any length of time, if at all. Plus, the second thing is they get extremely hot when they're firing up, because they're cycling a lot of rounds through. Okay, and you're not dealing with a magazine where the rounds are contained. You're dealing with a belt, so you're feeding those things, and you're not running out right away because you got a whole can that belt is wrapped into. So you've got a shit ton of rounds before you run out, and all of those rounds passing through all that friction and the powder explosions, the barrel of them some bitches get like red hot. I mean, on some of them guns, they'll actually take and pour water down over it to cool the barrel as they're firing and stuff. because it is incredibly hot. And so you're not holding that in your fucking hand and shooting and all that bullshit. That's not happening. You're gonna end up with third degree burns messing around like that. So I wanted to talk about that too, but I forgot. And that's about all we got. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. What's your stance on it? What do you where do you come down on the Second Amendment? Do you think that it should be unlimited? Do you think that it's our right as Americans to own whatever kind of weaponry we want to own, or do you think that there should be limits on it? And if so, how do you justify giving up your rights? Because that's essentially what you're doing. If you're one of those people that say you should only be allowed to have a shotgun or you shouldn't be allowed to have any firearms at all or anything like that, you're giving up your right to defend yourself and your family. And that doesn't make any sense to me. That's such a foreign concept. I don't even understand it. I don't understand why you would willingly want to be a victim. Because, yeah, you can call 911, but they're not going to get there for like 10 minutes. And do you know what I could do to you in 10 minutes? I could take out your entire family and leave before they even get there. And there's not a thing you could do to stop me. That's why it's so important to have a firearm to protect your family. Because you get some big scary dude come in there, you got to be able to protect yourself. Your little goofy ass political ideology ain't gonna mean shit when you're staring down a big giant crazy person and you think, oh my God, my little girl's in the other room. How the fuck am I gonna protect her? You failed as a man. That's what the problem is. You know what I mean? I just don't understand that concept. But let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. As always, up to you to make up your own mind. And we'll catch you on the next one. Till we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.